Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett
Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
The Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. I got to do two podcasts on a tour bus.
On a tour bus. You're on tour.
I'm on tour. This is Dr. Colby Jubenville, and I'm going to get this out here because he probably will try to sneak this in, and Eric's heard about it basically all day. One of very few people to be on three, maybe now four times. Three-peat on the Circuit of Success, man. Thanks for being with me, brother.
Hey, thank you.
It's good to be with you.
The king of O'Fallon, Illinois.
I don't know about that, but
Brett Gilliland.
Trying to give back.
You know, our time together reminds me of a book that my parents gave me in college after I graduated. They didn't think I would graduate. In fact, they had two pieces of paper waiting on me in the first month of school, and one said Marines and the other said Army, and they knew I'd be back.
Pick one.
Yeah, and my dad said, Colby, you never came back. And I said there was no way I was coming back to the Wayne Williams School of Better Living and Better People. But the name of the book is Oh, the Places You Will Go, Dr. Seuss. And watching that interview today, being on this bus called Sage with my good friend Eric Blankenship and All Access Tour and Travel, and what he does for that industry and what he does for that community, I think is just so indicative of this one idea that everything rises and falls on two things: leadership and community. So I appreciate the time with you today, and I love being on this bus. And I went to sleep last night after listening to him play at the local, which, I mean, now I have to go every Tuesday. It's an hour drive up there and back. But it reminded me of being at St. Paul's in Mobile. And every summer, we would go to Disney World, and you would sleep in the racks on the buses.
Oh, yeah.
This is a little bit different. This is more luxurious. But I got in that rack last night, and I put my CPAP machine on, and I was out on a bus, and I woke up, and boom, I'm in your parking lot.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me be with you today.
Well, I wake up today, I'm in my bed, and I look at my phone, and I've got a picture from Colby that they're already here at like 5 in the morning. I'm like, oh, crap, I got to take kids to school. I got stuff.
Eric had us doing calisthenics in the parking lot.
Doing calisthenics. I show up today, and there's a tour bus in my parking lot. I'm like, what is going on right now?
It's an
It was awesome.
ESPN commercial.
Yeah, it was a cool look down from my office, seeing this bus out here. It was incredible. But
it was cool
we can
for
talk
me
about
to look
that
up
forever,
and see your
man.
office.
But we've known each other for a while. We can't remember how we know each other.
It drives me nuts.
It started through podcasts. It started through just building a relationship. You came here and spoke to our team, Visionary Wealth Advisors, and we've just stayed in touch because I think there's a lot alike, right? And so what are the things right now that you think are driving people to be successful?
It's such a great question. I think it starts with what is success. And I think people are struggling with this. I think the dream that you and I were sold and the dream that you and I believed about success, I don't think the generation after us believes that same dream. And I think it comes down to this simple idea that they've had so much prosperity that they don't even know what that success looks like for them. I saw this in your office, and it made me think about when I first got started, but it's Thoreau's definition of success: to advance confidently in the direction of your own dream, to endeavor to live a life that only you can imagine, where you will find uncommon success in common hour. People define success in many ways. Picking yourself up off the ground just one more time. Athletes know that. The continued expansion of happiness, the setting and achieving of worthy goals. I think social media has had such an impact on the dopamine sugar that goes into people's brains that they have just spent their entire lives comparing themselves to other people instead of saying, what is it that I really want? In our 20s, they teach us to get in the game. They don't say what game to get into. They just say get in the game. In our 30s, we move up in the game. In our 40s, we try to stay in the game because those 30-year-olds are so good. In our 50s, what the research says is we finally say, what do I really want? I used to end at the 50s, and somebody in the audience one day out in Arizona in the 60s said, well, what do you do in your 60s? And I said, well, I'm not 60, so you tell me. And he said, if you say this is what I really want in your 50s, in your 60s, you get it and do it. And so to me, if I'm giving advice to a young person, get clear about what you really want and then get it and do it. Talent development starts with getting around people better than you and then deciding how you want to be better than them in things that matter to you?
Yeah. I say all the time, clarity precedes mastery.
Yes.
Right? And so for me, and you probably saw in my office today, I've got tons of these journals. And whether that's visionary wealth advisors, right? Dreaming, thinking, strategizing. But the biggest thing I think most people, where I get most excited about, the circuits of success are your attitude, your belief system, your actions ultimately get you results.
Yeah.
And that's how we fence in success, right? But the one thing I see that most people don't do is they may have a great attitude. They may have a great belief system. They may even have a great product or an idea for the result.
Yeah.
They don't take action,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You take action. Eric takes action. I take action. So what advice do you have for people that know what they want, but they're not doing a damn thing about it?
Don Shula says it best, don't let the start stop you. Don't let the start stop you. Before you can build version 2, you got to build version 1. I worked with a guy named Brian Shulman early in my career. Shulman was Pat Dye's favorite player. The story goes that he walked out there as a walk-on at Auburn, and Dye lined up 3 punters. First punter kicked it, second punter kicked it, and Shulman was the third punter, and he kicked it and went down and tackled the guy. And Dye said, "That's my punter." And so I'm in the Vanderbilt Lowe's Hotel in Nashville, and I'm worried about my future. I'm 31 years old. I've got student loan debt because my parents told me they're going to give me the same opportunity their parents gave them. They're going to let me pay my entire way through school. I'm still mad about that today, by the way. And he said, "Colby, you're different than the rest of these guys. I actually think you can fix the issues that you say you can fix. And I don't mind you telling me my baby's ugly, but you're going to have to tell me specifically how to fix it." And he had an education software company. And he signed a large contract through the state in the Southeast. And I said specifically, here are the 4 things that I think I would do to fix this. And he goes, "All right, so I'm going to pay you whatever it is that you want to be paid. You're going to have to tell me what that is. I'm going to be very clear about what I want you to do. I'm going to give you the timeline. And you should only come to me should you have problems that you can't solve yourself." No one had ever talked to me this way. It's the first time in my life that I was awoken to this idea of that you can get paid for your value and not your time. We teach children to go to a job interview and let the interviewer tell them, this is what you're going to get paid. They are so sophisticated that they'll go, "What do you think you should get paid?" Because human beings will lowball their own value. And so I'm so scared at 32, having to go home and face my family, 31, with a child, little Jack Jubenville on the way, and paralyzed, that I couldn't get out a number. He sat there and waited, and he finally gave me the number. It was probably 15 times higher than what I could get out of my mouth because I was so scared. And he said, "Do you think that's a good place to start?" And I said, "I think that's a great place to start." And I walked out of the hotel and I called my wife and I said, "I want you to know, I just signed this contract and things are going to change." And I think until you experience that kind of adversity, you'll never be able to figure out how to use adversity to accelerate growth, which is a key part of success.
Talk about the power of thinking big. So that 15 times, right, we sell ourselves short sometimes, or maybe that belief system is not there. We got to build our belief. But how important is the power of thinking big?
Well, the power of thinking big starts with the habits that you talked about. What habits do you have? Here's the habits that I have every morning. The habits start with this, 3:30, 4:30 a.m. I text you sometimes during that time. It starts with apple cider vinegar. It starts with Gary Brecka's Perfect Amino. It starts with colostrum. Then it's to the gym to protect your confidence because your confidence is under attack every single day. Yeah. All of us, our confidence, anyone that tries to do things, if they can't categorize you, they criticize you. And the minute that you understand that protecting your confidence and doing those habits every single day is the only way to get to a place that will accelerate that growth, then you'll continue to think big but not execute big. And thinking big is the first step. The first step you have to say it's possible. The second step you have to say is it's possible for you. Then you have to wake up and do 3 things a day, 5 days a week, 60 times a month, dominant focus in your life. thinking big starts with what is the dominant focus. For me, it was coaching and teaching on an ever-increasing stage. It happened for me at St. Paul's High School in Mobile, Alabama, the womb of greatness, drawing up that play for Zach. I get him. Zach is my little brother, and saying, we're going to run this play. It's going to work. It worked. Santoli stops the game. You can't run that play. Waves the basket and says to me afterwards, puts his arm around me. He says, you're going to be a great coach one day, just not today. I'm waving the basket. And I walked out and I said, I am going to be a great coach. I went on to start a college football team in 1998 with no phones, computers, players, uniforms. We ended up 21st in the nation during that time together, and that set the trajectory for the rest of my life.
Yeah. But I think also what I hear there, is back to action, is you've taken action
every day
to do that.
There are days that I don't want to.
What do you do on those days?
Struggle. But struggle helps you think better, communicate better, make better decisions. Struggle makes you pick up the phone and call Eric Blankenship and say, man, I'm not feeling it today, and let somebody like that who's better in other places get around you and say, you can do it.
Yeah.
You are better. You got to take the next step. People are counting on you. I got other people like John Floyd who's in my life that says, you tell all these people all this stuff and you can't do it yourself. You better do it yourself, which is a hard, getting that accountability and turning that microscope around and putting on yourself is a very, very difficult thing to do.
It's funny you say this. So I was in my office. I think it was Monday of this week. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do jack squat.
Yeah.
And I sit there and debated. I'm like, I may actually put a post on, because I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it on social media. Every day is a great day. And success. And no, like not at all. Right. Like I just sat on my couch, basically like looked at my table for a while, for like hours. It felt like, but it's like, we don't talk about that.
No.
And I think it's okay, man, for people that are listening to like, not every day is going to be great. You listen to people like me or other people that everything is always great. We're fighting and do this and do it's not, man.
No.
And so I think, I don't know, I'm getting very passionate about that. And I might add a second social media handle of like what it's really like some days.
I think somebody needs to do that. And here's what I know is that in about year 3, we settle into a career. And that's what happens. And most people, once they settle in, they can't find a way to get out of it. It's the Peter principle. We all rise to our highest level of incompetence. We're not taught that.
Yeah.
We're taught that we rise to our highest level of potential. And that's true in sports because you have someone that's coaching you and giving you feedback, which is where you learn the most in situations. Situational feedback is the key to continued growth. And so if we don't have that in our careers, and so we just settle in, and you got one or two choices once you settle in. This is the way it is, or I want something better. Maxwell talks about 2 kinds of days. He talks, and he stole this from Mark Twain. Maxwell says there's the 2 most important days are the day you're born and the day you find out why. I think there's 2 other kinds of days. The first day is I was smart. I could have done something with my life. How did I end up here? I think anybody that tries to go do something great with their life experiences this. And this is this point about thinking big and the negativity that we tell, the story that we tell ourselves. And then the second day is, and I think this happens to anyone that tries to do something more than they know that they can, and that is, this is not what I signed up for.
No.
Every person that has ever tried to do something great, including my good friend Eric Blankenship on his bus stage today, has had those 2 days. Yep. I was smart. I could have done something. How did I end up here? And this is not what I signed up for.
Yep. So talk about Beyond. You've seen Beyond today.
Yeah.
Going beyond your self-defeating thinking. That's what it's about, right? So what closing advice would you have for that person listening right now that's got this self-defeating thinking? We got to go beyond that. We got to go beyond the limitations we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Give them the locker room talk.
The only way that I've gotten through beyond of where I was is through relationships. And I'll quote Jerry Maguire and the late, great Dickie Fox, who told Jerry, he was his mentor. And he said to Jerry, the key to this business is personal relationships. And I wrote on my whiteboard, when does a relationship become personal? And the answer to me is a relationship becomes personal when it becomes meaningful. And a meaningful relationship is 2 people working together through interdependence towards a common goal. Champagne does not taste good by yourself, but it tastes great when you got other people in the room. And collaboration is the stuff that growth is made of.
Solid.
That's what it takes.
Love it.
The greatest changes in opportunities and success in my life are when two people get together through interdependence and work towards an agreed upon common goal.
Yeah. So where do our listeners find more of Colby Jubenville?
drjubenville.com. We're in the throes of putting a new podcast together. Going to run it through your network. And so we're in the middle of working through that. I'm on Forbes Coaches Council. And I've got some other opportunities on the horizon that I'll actually make the announcement on your networks of what's going to happen and where that's going to be. And I think it's right around the corner. So
it's going to be a big deal, man.
Well, hey, listen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the relationship. I can't tell you how much I appreciate coming here today and walking through Beyond. Most people talk about it. Very few people go and do it. And what I love about you is once that idea is planted in your head, you're not going to stop till you do it. And it took me 6 months to get here, but it will not take me 6 months to come back.
Love it. Thank you, brother. Thanks for being on the Circuit of Success.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.